Dare I say it, right now, it is very fun being a Buffalo Sabres fan. It is very fun sitting in Western New York as a member of, is it Sabres Mafia, Sabres Land, Hockey Heaven, whatever they used to call it, back when the Sabres were consistently putting wins after win after win after win together, winning seasons, I should say, during the Lindy Ruff era when he was the man running running the show, as well as Danny Briere, Chris Jury. We know the guys, right? Jason Pominville, Maxim Afinogenov, Ryan Miller. Who could forget Ryan Miller? Who could forget, obviously, the blue-eyed angel that is Marty Biron? But but this was a fantastic week to be a fan of the Buffalo Sabres for a lot of reasons. Obviously, today's Heritage Classic was an awesome game where the Buffalo Sabres played as a team, one on both ends of the ice, offensively, defensively, strong on the back check, strong on the forecheck. Strong in net was 41-year-old netminder Craig Anderson, stopping two really great scoring chances by Mitch Marner, who was one of the better players on that Maple Leafs roster, along with, of course, Austin Matthews, who very well could win the Hart Trophy this year, depending on how the rest of the season shakes out. But this game, obviously a 5-2 Heritage Classic win. This is an opportunity for me to recap that game today. It was nationally televised as the Sabres were able to get past the arch rival Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto Maple Leafs. Wrong sport. 5-2. 5-2 is a solid score in any hockey game for the winning team. And it's a score for the losing team that makes you say to yourself, what the hell is going on with these Maple Leafs? You have Austin Matthews, you have Johnny Tavares, two centers that on any team, you should be getting it done, but hockey is not about who you have on paper. It's who shows up that very day. It's like it is in most sports, I should say. But hockey is very different in that way, it seems like, especially in this era of hockey. So, obviously a great game, an awesome event. An opportunity for the Sabres to be on the national stage is a rarity, to be honest. And for the Buffalo Sabres to show up on that national stage and perform big was a true treat to watch. Tage Thompson had an empty netter. Vinny Hinostroza pumped two pucks into the net. And Peyton Krebs had two goals, one piece of the Jack Eichel trade. And you bet your you know what, that I will go on my Jack Eichel tirade in just a moment. But I want to talk about the Heritage Classic first. Obviously, an awesome event in Hamilton to see Tim Hortons Field full with 26,000 fans in the stands for the Sabres battle with the Leafs, most of which, unfortunately, were Leafs fans as the COVID-19 protocols between the USA and Canada are not fully as ironed out as they should be, in my opinion, but it's neither here nor there. The Sabres got the win. It was a great win, and it was a great win for Don Granato because it goes to show you that the players are buying into the message that Don Granato was sending, that Don Granato was putting out behind closed doors within that locker room. Whatever Don Granato was saying behind those doors, the players are listening. The players are understanding. The players are then responding to that message from Don Granato to the players putting it out on the ice today. So, in this week, I mean, I think 2 games in a row, 2 wins in a row are the 2 biggest wins. These last 2 games, 2 wins, are the 2 biggest games, the 2 biggest wins for this Buffalo Sabres team moving forward, heading into next year. As well, throughout the rest of this year, we'll look back on the schedule and say to ourselves, okay, the Sabres won X amount of games. What 2 wins were the biggest 2 wins of the year? Sabres taking on Vegas / Jack Eichel and Jack Eichel's homecoming back to Buffalo. And obviously the next win was the Heritage Classic that I think I'll say are the top 2 wins to end the season. At the ending point of the season, I could say that now. It'd be recency bias, but I think by the end of the year, I'll be saying the exact same thing. So with that being said, I want to talk about for the final time, the Jack Eichel era. And I wanted to discuss this sooner, but I've had a lot of stuff going on just outside the podcast, in the sports landscape that I've been working on. And, I wanted to kind of just provide a separate commentary piece for this. So this is my final take on the Jack Eichel era. The 7 years that was Jack Eichel in the Buffalo Sabres organization. Going into the Sabres battle with Vegas, I looked at the whole situation as, I hope that this is a game that the Sabres win, obviously. I looked at the situation as, Jack Eichel, if I were in the stands, what would the decision be for me if I was there? Would I boo? Would I cheer? I am somebody that respects each and every athlete that steps out onto the ice, that steps out onto the field, that steps into the cage, that steps into the ring, steps onto the diamond, steps onto the court, you name it. I respect them all because they are putting their body on the line. They're doing something that is very difficult to do for the vast majority of people, but they have the God-given talent as well as the ability to put in hard work to make that God-given talent greater than what they were blessed with. And Jack Eichel was one of those guys that I looked at on the Sabres and said, here is a very talented player. Here is a player that was drafted second overall in 2015 and was seen as the consolation prize, essentially, to Connor McDavid. And at the time, you looked at it as, that's not really a bad consolation prize. Now all these years go by, and everything that has transpired over the course of Jack Eichel's career with the Sabres, it did. And then some. Trading him was the greatest thing that this franchise has done in quite some time. I said that in November. I said it in October prior to trading him. I said it in September. I wanted Eichel gone in the sense that it was just getting worse and it was damaging the reputation of the Sabres as well as Jack Eichel based on how both sides kind of went about things over the course of that situation. But my greatest fear became a reality. My greatest fear was that the bad attitude of Jack Eichel outweighed the talent that Jack Eichel possesses. And I think that fear was always there in the back of my mind, wondering, why is this team not good? Why is this team not able to put it together when you have Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart, Evander Kane, Ryan O'Reilly at one point on a roster? Why can't this team get it done? Why, with Robin Lehner as well, why can't this team get it done? Is it the coach? The coaches will get fired. Bilesma, Housley, gone. Ralph Kruger, obviously that was a disaster of a hire. That was one that I feared would either make the Sabres look really, really dumb or really, really smart. Unfortunately, made them look really, really dumb to hire an former interim head coach that is out of touch within the game, that was a soccer vice president. I don't even know what that was. I can't even antiquate that in a sentence without making it sound dumber than it actually was. So to make that decision. So I digress. Moving on from that, what was it that I would always wonder, what is it? They have Eichel, they have this, they have that. Why can't they get it right? When you have a jerk as your captain, when you have a piss pot as your captain, when you have a captain that is nowhere near a captain, that team was meant to be a disaster with Jack Eichel as the captain, because Jack Eichel is nowhere near close a captain, nor do I believe he ever will be again, with his statements that he made after the game as representative of the Vegas Golden Knights, that, I hadn't heard the arena that loud in 7 years and all that stuff. And to me, this isn't old news in the sense that this did happen a few days ago. You could say it's old news. But moving forward, what should we be looking out for as Buffalo Sabres fans? Rather than the talent, what should we be looking out for? We should be looking out for players that want to be here, that understand what it means to be a Buffalo Sabre, understand what it means wearing that jersey and being a part of this community. Furthermore, allowing a player to fully respect the jersey that he wears. And I think you don't have those questions with this current crop of Sabres players, with Alex Tuch, with Peyton Krebs, with all the guys that they have. Two of those guys, obviously, that they got back in the Eichel trade that are obviously two very successful players in a Buffalo Sabres uniform right now. Peyton Krebs had 2 goals tonight, as I mentioned. Peyton Krebs had a goal against Vegas, Alex Tuch had an empty netter against Vegas. Dare I say it too? You go back to the dreaded Ryan O'Reilly trade discussion. Nobody wants to acknowledge this, but 3 years ago, you looked at that Ryan O'Reilly trade and you said, what the hell did the Sabres get in that trade? How did the Sabres in any way, shape, or form come away with anything productive, not come away with anything productive in a trade, trading away Ryan O'Reilly? Well, now 3 years go by and Tage Thompson was a piece of that trade, and Tage Thompson looks like the best young rising star on the Sabres. Prior to the Sabres trading Jack Eichel, Tage Thompson was getting it done without Alex Tuch, without Peyton Krebs on that team. So Tage Thompson has proven to be a legitimate player in this league, and a legitimate player under Don Granato, not once but twice over the course of the last couple years. So I say all these things. I won't go into how I feel about Jack Eichel because I can't really do it without providing a word that might be profane. And I'm not going to do that on my podcast. I just don't want to. But I could say that he's a jerk. I could say that there's a term for Massachusetts citizens, masshole, not without the M. He's both. He's the one with the M, the one without the M. He fits that description very, very well. If you looked up that Urban Dictionary and looked up that word with the M, Jack Eichel's picture would be next to it. The one with the A, Jack Eichel's picture would be next to it as well. I'm so excited for this team without Jack Eichel. I'm so excited given the fact that there are guys on this team that I think actually belong here and understand what it means to be here and understand what it means in terms of appreciating being here. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for the present without Jack Eichel. I'm excited for the future without Jack Eichel. This will be the last time I ever bring up Jack Eichel because I go back to 2015 when he was drafted. I made sure that I was at one of the first home games in which he played in. The arena was full. The arena was loud. He scored a goal in the game. The arena was on its feet. This city, I don't have to justify this city as far as what it is as a sports town, how loyal they are. When a player just meets them halfway, when a player meets the fans just halfway, the fans will open their arms to you. The fans will embrace you as their favorite son, a la Josh Allen. That's all Josh Allen, that's all, oh yeah, I could say this too. That's all Josh Allen had to do was meet the Bills fans halfway in terms of giving and taking, and the Bills fans that keep giving. Jack Eichel didn't even meet the Sabres fans halfway, didn't even meet the team halfway in terms of everything that I've heard as far as his inability to lead, from guys like Brian Giunta, from players that have played on the team that have come and gone over the years. The need to bring back a player like Jason Pominville due to the lack of leadership that was on the team while Jack Eichel was the captain. Their inability to really put their foot down and remove the C from him, which they never should have put on him in the first place. Mischaracterization that sent this franchise back 6-7 years. That thankfully, I believe, the Stars, the lucky Stars, were on their side when the moment came for Kevin Adams to make the greatest decision that he has made to date as the GM of the Buffalo Sabres, to not only trade Jack Eichel, but who to trade Jack Eichel for. And yet you get back Alex Tuch, who is a Syracuse kid, wants to be here, understands what it means to be a Buffalo Sabre, and Peyton Krebs, who seems extremely thankful for the opportunity to not only be a Buffalo Sabre, but to get meaningful playing time as a member of the Buffalo Sabres and maximizing that playing time while out on the ice. He is a true Buffalo Sabre. He belongs in the NHL. He's proven that. Dare I say it, Kevin Adams, who has been mocked, who has been ridiculed during his entire time as the GM of the Buffalo Sabres, made the greatest move that he has ever made while making the toughest move that he has ever made as GM of the Buffalo Sabres. How about that take? The greatest move was also the toughest move in the sense that, yeah, they finally had to turn the page from jackass Jack Eichel, from crybaby Jack Eichel, and trade him away for Peyton Krebs and Alex Tuch, and yet Peyton Krebs and Alex Tuch were the greatest return that they could have received, as well as a first and second round draft choice. Rooting against Vegas is the priority, as much of a priority for Sabres fans as it is to root for the Sabres at this point. Vegas losing out Not that they will do that, but Vegas losing is great for Sabres fans. Seeing Vegas lose is something that we have seen since Jack Eichel joined the team. 4-7-1 record while Eichel has been a member of Vegas. But more importantly, maximizing the return on that trade. A trade in which we traded away a player who essentially did nothing but damage the reputation of the franchise while they damaged it on their own and then some. A disaster of a tenure in Buffalo for Jack Eichel. He will only be a distant memory. And that's on him. That's not on the GMs and the coaches. His tenure ended in the form and fashion that signed off on my greatest fear, that Jack Eichel's bad attitude greatly outweighed his talent. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take Sports podcast. And breaking news from Doug Clock. Vegas lost again 6-4 to Columbus tonight. Music to my ears. Keep the losing going, Vegas. Keep it up. I love it. We need that high pick. We want the highest return for a man that did nothing but damage the reputation of this club for the last 2 years. As well, bottom 10 finishes every year he was here. People can say he's a great talent, and he is. Talent was outweighed by a bad attitude. One of the worst players. I see interviews every day, whether it's a fighter, whether it's a player. Jack Eichel is the worst speaking athlete I have ever seen in terms of how he spoke to the Buffalo media from day one to this past week. I look forward to seeing how this shakes out with the Buffalo Sabres. I'm turning the page on Jack Eichel. I'm moving on. It's time to embrace the new look Buffalo Sabres, and it's a fun team to embrace. Let me tell you, this week has been probably the most exciting week I could remember in recent memory as my time as a Sabres fan. I feel a positive momentum moving forward, no matter whether the Sabres win 25 games or 30 games. This season was much more entertaining than what I ever envisioned, and it was all without Jack Eichel.